I have been teaching Final Cut Pro for over 6 years on this channel, but today we're going to do something that I have never done before. I figured it would be helpful to walk you through all the basics of Final Cut Pro and making a video in it right alongside my girlfriend, who is a complete beginner as well, so you can see how simple it really is to get started. This is a relaxed crash course, so if you're brand new to Final Cut Pro or just need a refresher, this video should be perfect for you. So once you have clicked Final Cut, you have your UI. This may look confusing. Basically, you have a file structure for your projects that you will use every time you're creating a new video. So this icon here with 4 squares is your library. Think of this like a wardrobe, you know, like where you put your shoes, your socks, your underwear and stuff like that. In that wardrobe, there's different drawers. So the different drawers are the things underneath. So this is called an event. So I can add more events by going to File, to New, and Add Event, or pressing Option N. That is a keyboard shortcut, so you can make it real quick, boom, boom. So these are your drawers, right? So in terms of our analogy here, you have the wardrobe, you have sock drawer, you have underwear, and we'll just say shirt drawer, okay? And then in each of these events is where your media will be. So your footage, your pictures, your graphics, anything else that you would use in your project goes in these folders. So, for example, this could be, if you have the Pocket 3, right? So this could be Pocket 3 footage if you want. This one could be iPhone footage. This one could be images. And then for that library, which is the thing that encompasses everything, we could...
Name of the project.
That's right. The name, kind of the name of the project, the name of the thing that houses the project. So if we just said example video project, that is the wardrobe. But what confuses people is we also have projects in Final Cut Pro. So if I go to File, to New, and hit Project, this is basically your project. It's where everything will go into. It's your timeline. So we'll just call it Example Video. This is the video name. I'll make it even simpler. We have video name. You can use custom settings. This is so you can choose if you know that you have, you want a 4K video. You can select 4K here. You can select your resolution. Usually, whatever you recorded in, whether it's HD, which would be 1080p, or 4K, these are the 2 typical ones, you would select that for your project, and that way everything matches up. You have your frame rate, so if you know what frame rate your footage was shot in, you would select that. So you're going to be 2398 or 24, and then you leave everything else the same here, and we'll click OK. You also can just use automatic settings if you wanted to drag your footage to your timeline here. So if I just click OK, and you'll notice that the UI has changed a bit and that this has opened up. Before it had a button that said New Project, so you could click that to make a new project. You don't have to go to File, to New. But the reason why automatic may be useful is when you import footage, and you can do that by clicking one of these drawers, right? And importing the footage that you want. So we'll click Allow here, and we have your hard drive, Indomie footage. That's a crazy thing to pick up first. All right, so we have this. So I'll drag in a couple of these as an example. So we have a couple of clips here. This is your import window, by the way. Let me make this a bit smaller so I can explain this better. So once you press import, which you can do once again by pressing import media, you can also press Command I, think Command Import. This is what I use because it just is so much quicker. Or you can just go to File to Import, and then you click Import Media. But before I dive into that, something else that's very useful is if you ever have issues knowing what to do, where to find stuff, you just go to this help thing. And this is something that's very useful about Final Cut. So I could just go to Import, and then you could do Import Media, and it has this nice little icon that shows you where to get stuff. So just by clicking that popped up, and this is your import window. So we would go ahead and find that footage that you have we'll just use these, and we will press either copy to library or leave files in place. Copy to library is going to copy this footage directly into the library. So the downside to this is you'll then have footage on your hard drive as well as footage that has been copied into this library. So double the space. So it's a very quick way to fill up the space on your hard drive quite a lot. I think that's a video of us dancing or something. So what I would recommend doing is leave files in place.
Okay.
But you got to remember that if you're leaving files in place, those different video files, if you delete them, it won't connect to Final Cut. So a good thing to do is create a folder structure for each project. So I'll just quickly go through this. I have this folder structure here. It's just one folder. I have a bunch of different folders within it. Anytime that you're about to create a video, you would just take this folder, you go to footage, you can create your own folders for all your different cameras or whatever you have, and then you'd bring all the footage into there. So then whenever you need to access the video or the project files, you know exactly where it is in this folder structure. So once again, I would recommend leave file in place. For the most part, I'm not going to go through all of this because this would be a 2-hour tutorial. This is a crash course. You don't really need most of this. In fact, I don't click anything else. I just do leave file in place, and we do import selected media. I think I actually imported one there on accident. So you notice I just press Command I to quickly bring that up. Import selected again. So if this annoys you or you can hear it as you're scrubbing through, there's these little icons down here. All you have to do is hover over them and you can kind of see what they do. So this one is audio skimming. It looks like an audio waveform. I just like to turn this off because I like to scrub through without seeing it. If these clips are a little too big in your library or in the different events, then you can just click this little button up here and you can make this smaller, so it then will decrease the size of the actual media.
Can I just show the picture of the clips, but not the whole thing?
Yes, so that's what this is. This is the duration. So if you want to, if you don't want to have to scrub through, but you want to see like basically everything, just swing this to the far right, and you basically are getting every little frame. But if you just want one clip, which is what I usually do, swing it to the far left. So now we see we imported 4 clips. So it makes it really simple. Once again, this is just the size of it, and this is the duration of each. And then you can turn on the waveforms if you want to see that, and so on. So I just added one more clip here, so we have some B-roll to work with once we throw everything on the timeline. So do you understand the basic housing structure of Final Cut? Right? You have your entire library that holds everything, kind of very similar to this folder structure that we have here. And then you have your events. So it could be anything like day 1, day 2, day 3. You make it whatever you want. It just keeps you organized. And then you have your footage in those different ones, however you want to do it. And then you have the project, which is basically your whole video, which is essentially, if you want to think of it, the way you open up this timeline to actually edit things. So unlike a lot of softwares, we can't like move windows, but we can adjust the size of things. That may be pretty self-explanatory. Like if you want to have this bigger, then you can do that. So I usually when I'm scrubbing through, I like to increase that size a little bit just so I can see not all of it, but just a little bit. And something that's very nice about Final Cut is the fact that we can scrub through and see different footage both in the browser, this is called your library browser, and on the timeline. So let's say we liked this section from here to here. We press I for in, and say we like it out here, O for out. Now we have this selection, and we can either drag this directly to the timeline, and there's also a few keys on the keyboard that make it much quicker. You have, and this won't quite work, but you have E, which is end. This puts it at the very end. So for example, if we just click this and press E, you'll see it is added on to the end here. Then we have Q. This will put it above the timeline, so useful for B-roll. And by the way, these keys are all right next to each other. Q, W, and E. So we have E is end, Q is to put on top, and then we have W, which inserts it into the storyline. I'm going to just press Command Z to undo, And I'm going to show you one more thing. One of the big reasons why I like Final Cut, because I noticed that when you were working in Wondershare or Filmora, and I could not find where to do this. I guess they don't have this in Filmora. You can't, in Final Cut, you can favorite different sections and entire clips. So
it's so much quicker. Like, I don't need to crop it.
That's right. Yes, you don't need to drag it to the timeline to save what you like. It's one of the big benefits of Final Cut are the organizational features. So if you like this section, select this, press F. Think F for favorite. And this nice little green bar over top will show up. If you like this section, F for favorite. If you like this section, F for favorite. And that makes it...
You just click and drag?
It's literally, so it's a drag of your clip.
Right. Like this, and then F.
And then F for favorites, yeah. If you want to unfavorite, you press U to unfavorite. So then the nice thing is once you've gone through all your footage, and we have all this selected through all your clips, all you have to do is go to this little top bar here, and then you can go to favorites, and that's going to have all of the best clips and sections of your clips. So it makes it super, super handy. The other great thing about Final Cut is we have something called keywords, and I'm getting a little too advanced here. I'll show you other videos that I've created about this, or maybe even do future lessons with you. But similar to how if you make a selection and then you press F to favorite, we can also make a selection and press the shortcut Command K, think Command Keyword, and basically add what is like a sticky note to different sections or entire clips to make it easy for you. So if you imagine like you have a bunch of different files, and you put sticky notes that say...
scenery.
Happy. If this was a shot of a waterfall, you could add that. If this was a shot of a waterfall, let's do in, watch it through, do out. You could type waterfall, or you can hit this drop-down menu and just click that. And then when you've gone through all your media, and you're ready to finally add things to your timeline, or you just want to see all the different footage that you favorited and stuff like that, you just click the event that has that footage, which we only have footage in this one, and you'll see we have all those keywords, which is super handy, makes remembering what you've saved and stuff extremely easy and keeps you organized. There's also something called Smart Collections, which I'm not going to go into that. It basically encompasses everything. So if you want to access footage that you have not used, that have the keyword happy and that are a certain duration, you can do that with Smart Collections. It's fantastic, but it's a little advanced, so I won't show you that for now. So your timeline, right? This is where your video is. I don't know if because you used to use PC, you expand, and just kind of pinch.
Yeah.
Like, you know that?
Like zoom. Like you're zooming on the phone or something.
Yeah, just like an iPhone. Or if you're really zoomed in, you could hit Shift Z. It's going to bring everything to view. So if you had a really long project, it's going to bring everything to view. You can also, for those that use just a keyboard, Command minus, Command plus.
I see.
But keyboard shortcuts are super useful to know. It makes everything so much faster. So we learned about the library browser, this section on the left. If you wanted to, say, close this, you have all these up here that will help with that. This closes your library browser. You can also press Control Command N1, and that's going to close it. That's a very handy one. And then you have this far right button. This is your inspector window. So this is how you adjust things. If you add an effect to this clip, if you add stabilization, most editing softwares have this inspector type of window where you can adjust things. So anything that you add here, whether it's a blur, any type of effect, it will then show up here in the inspector window. And this is where you can adjust it. So any video effect, anything you want to adjust as far as the video is in the video inspector. This is this one to the far left. So we can stabilize this clip by clicking this. If you wanted to maybe scale in a little bit, you could at this transform part here and just scale in. So let me delete the Gaussian blur for now. This one to the right of the video inspector is your color grading section. It has you started on enhanced light and color. Let me adjust that for now. So I'm going to press Command and comma. This brings up your preferences. You don't necessarily have to know this, but your color adjustments pop up first. I much prefer to have the color wheels pop up because they're just a standard and I find them easy to use. I don't really like color adjustments that much, but it's totally up to you. The other thing that I do want to adjust while we're in here is this button right here. I'm going to turn this off for you. So this has it where Final Cut is constantly rendering your timeline every time you stop editing, and that causes
longer.
Yeah, it slows down the computer, and then it also adds these huge render files. So I like to have this off. If I need to render a specific clip, I would press Control R. That renders just that selection, but this doesn't need rendering at the moment, so that's why nothing happened. But yes, I like to turn that off. The second one is your color board.
I still have one question.
Okay.
So in CapCut or Filmora, I will have to drag the effect in. So in here, just click it or what?
You can do both.
How can I apply the effect?
Yeah, thanks for bringing that up. You can drag it, or you can simply double click. So if you go through and double click. The other nice thing is
to change it.
Change the effect?
Yeah, like if I want to try different effects on the frame.
Well, the crappy thing about effects is you then have to delete it. So if you don't like this, then you press Command Z to undo. But with transitions, there we go. If we hop in and like do an M Beauty transition from Motion VFX, we have this little flash here. If you wanted to change that, this is kind of a little hack that maybe not a lot of people know. Just keep this selected, then you can just double tap that, and it'll change it. Although, I prefer to actually just delete it because sometimes when you drag these, there'll be a specific size that works well for the transition, but yeah.
Yeah, I would just delete it and drag another one in.
So while we're on this, and I know we kind of got hung up on the color grading thing, yes, so you have the effects, and the transitions.
Okay.
Super easy. Effects and transitions. So while we're on that effects, you apply directly to the clip. Usually this is like a color grade, a blur, so on and so forth. You have the transitions, which obviously you put them in between two clips. This allows the clip to transition in a cool way from...
Yeah, I know.
Okay, from shot 1 to shot 2. And if we hop back into the library browser, I don't know why they put them here. In fact, the old Final Cut, they used to be all together. If we go to the right, at this far right one, you have your titles, and you won't use generators that much. Basically, you have your titles. So this could be anything from standard titles to things that you put over your clips, like for example, this little arrow that pops up and animates, and logos that will pop up, logo animators and stuff like that, different titles. So there's in the titles, maybe that's why they gave it their own section, is because there's lots of different options for titles. It's not just text that pops up, and I guess there's less when it comes to effects and transitions. So let me go back to our library browser. You can once again press Control Command in 1 or press that icon right here. So yes, you have effects and you have transitions. Let's hop back in here and just finish this, and then I'll go into that again. You have your audio inspector. This is going to allow you to add different audio effects, which you can find in your effects browser, but at the very bottom. So if you wanted to add like a limiter or say like the voiceover enhancement effect, which is a simple way to improve your voice audio, you just drag that on. It does a fairly good job at adjusting everything for you. And we also have voice isolation, which will come in handy. This is a somewhat new tool of a few updates ago. Basically tunes out everything else, makes it so
like,
if you...
Just like a noise isolation.
Like a noise canceling. Yeah. You can also just press this and it will analyze the audio for you and see if there's any problems with it. It's not that good, but does an okay job. And then if you scroll through here, you have a couple different ones. Noise removal, which is different in that voice isolation basically cuts everything out but voice in a way. And noise removal kind of removes like different background hums and stuff like that, or that type of sound. But yeah, you can play around with these. Loudness is also very useful. So if you wanted to increase the loudness of your clip, and then maybe make it more uniform so there's not like huge waves, like high peaks and low talking. This makes it so it's a little more even.
Stable.
Yeah, more stable. There's also an effect in here that does that, but this is a simpler way to do it. And then you can also adjust your volume on here as well as on your clip, but that's probably obvious. You have this bar with the waveform. You can move it up and down.
Yeah.
And if that goes too quick, which usually it does, there's a keyboard shortcut for it. Just like everything, you hold Command, and then it lets you go nice and slow. So the inspector window, you're not going to use this much. Right now, this is showing the clip, clip settings. So we know this is 4K. We know it's 2398 frames a second, and it's shot in Rec 709. Control Command 1. And then if you had your project here, which I think, where do we have that? It has your project settings too. So if you wanted to at some point change your project settings, you could hop in here and adjust that. And so we've gone over everything here. You have, once again, your effects, your transitions.
Okay, so now I need to know how to like split.
Yeah, how to cut.
Cut, split.
Mm-hmm. So that
cut, delete.
Okay. So that was the UI. That's the user interface. So you kind of get a general sense of where things are. If you click this button here, it lets you switch to different tools. But I would almost never use this unless you forget what these keys are, because it just is kind of annoying to have to go in here. So I would remember these keys as much as you can. The blade tool is pretty obvious. This is going to allow you to make cuts. So just by selecting the blade tool, it changes that our little cursor here. And so now we can go in and just make cuts where we want. Or if you don't have this up, so say we have our select tool up, which is A, you can press Command B, and that's going to make an immediate cut. Think Command Blade. Command Blade. So let me press Command Z to undo. Trim is also pretty useful. So most of these you can remember just by remembering the beginning letter, right? T for trim. So if I press T, this allows us to trim this way, trim this way. So it's extending or deleting the media from clip A to clip B. And if you selected one, if you don't want to make this, say you wanted to keep this clip the same length, you could just select the end of this clip here and bring this in. This is probably pretty simple, or do you not know this stuff?
Well, I used this before in CapCut or on my phone.
Yeah.
It's just normal trimming.
Okay. Yeah, so pretty standard stuff here. Oh yeah, so this is something that I love about Final Cut, because Wondershare didn't have this. I don't have to move this to see what the clip is, right? In Wondershare, I had to continually do this to move, and I don't know if I just don't know how to use that. Almost think of this like this is a bookmark. So you can skim and find things, and if you ever need to paste something or whatever, this is like a bookmark. So if we press play,
It looks like
it then moves to this position, right? We press the space bar, it moves to wherever our skimmer is. This is called the skimmer. Now, a very useful keyboard shortcut that I would recommend changing, but for now I'll just tell you the default keys is Option left and Option right bracket. So this will speed up your workflow a lot. So if you know you want this to cut here, we would press Option left bracket, boom, it trims everything to this start. Yes.
From that.
Yeah.
From the end to that.
Yeah, I didn't explain it well enough. Basically, Option left bracket cuts everything to the left of the playhead, left of this where our skimmer is. So Option left, boop, deletes everything to the left. And if we go here, it's going to delete everything after. So this little section after. So Option right bracket, boop. So very handy. So you have your tools in here. Basically anything you need. The range tool, also very useful. R is range tool. So you could select, if you like, I want to delete this part right here, use the range tool and then press delete. And that takes that out. So R brings up a range. Or if you're like, oh, this is loud right here. You see it's peaking. See this red part? Barely. And actually we can make it so it's more visible. So similar to how we have this one in the library browser that allows us to make things bigger and smaller and adjust that. We have the same one for the timeline, which is down here. So we can show more waveform, and we can adjust the timeline for here if we wanted. We can make the clip smaller. So we'll just make it like that for now. So basically we have the range tool up. So let's say we don't. I pressed A to bring up the select tool. We know we want to bring this down a little bit in volume. So press R to bring up the range tool. We'll just select this area a little bit, and you can either drag this center area. You could do it like that, or you can hold Command to make it nice and slow. Or there's a shortcut, Control minus and Control plus, which is to raise or lower the volume by 1 decibel. So there are a couple different ways that you can go about doing that. And also, if you want to have your audio meters up so you can see if this is getting too loud, you literally just click this here, and that'll tell you if you're peaking too much. Obviously, our levels are terrible. We're not actually audio editing here. The other thing I want to show you is, you see these little icons, this little dot?
Yeah.
If you add these,
Fading, right?
Yeah, you add little fades, and then you can control right-click, which is how you right-click things on the Mac. You press Control, and then you just click your trackpad, and then you can adjust the different fades. So those are the basics. So let's pretend that we have this video kind of set up. Let's pretend these are the clips that we want. Pretend we add some random transitions in between from our transitions browser, and we didn't really add effects, but for time we won't. Let's say we hop into our titles browser and we add a little title over top here. This is going to sit over top of our clips. This obviously looks like trash.
What is this?
Okay, yeah, that's a great point. So let me press Control Command 1 to exit out of here. Once again, also we can click this. This is your on-screen control. So if you have a title, a lot of titles actually, anything you drag on. So as another example, if I do, I think this lens effect from Motion VFX, and we go to this title, which is over our footage, you then can use the on-screen controls to position where you want this. And by the way, for people that don't know, these are all plugins that I'm showing. There are some built-in titles and stuff like that, but plugins are a great way to not design any motion graphics yourself. It's a quick way to get a good-looking video fast. But so yeah, you just move on the on-screen controls. So for this example, like we could bring this up here in the top right. We could expand this to make it bigger. And if you wanted to rotate, you could turn it right there. So we can just put this here. So pretend that we have these clips down, and we wanted to add some B-roll to make it interesting, right? B-roll is stuff that goes on top of your main footage, your A-roll. So we have the talking head stuff. B-roll sits on top. This keeps your videos more engaging and keeps your viewers interested for longer. If you add a bunch of B-roll over top, pictures and stuff, just makes it a little bit more interesting. So you can also add effects and stuff to this if you would like. That's pretty self-explanatory.
Can I just add transition between the B-roll and the video below?
So that's actually a very good question. Something interesting about Final Cut is you have this main timeline. We call it storyline. So this is the primary storyline, is basically this black bar here, which this whole area works under something called the magnetic timeline, which I don't know if CapCut has, I think, but the magnetic timeline is what snaps everything into place. It makes it much quicker to edit. So by pressing B to bring up the blade tool, if I just make some cuts here, switch back to the select tool by pressing A, click this, press delete. We don't have to move this to fit snugly. The magnetic timeline helps us to do that instantly. Magnetic timeline snaps things together when you delete and when you extend, so you don't have to take the time to move clips to one another. But your question was, what if I want to add a transition from this talking head to this B-roll shot?
Yep, and from the B-roll shot to the talking head.
So what I'd recommend you do is bring this down into the primary storyline, and there is a keyboard shortcut for that. We used to have it up here, but they took it out. Perhaps it was too
crowded.
Yeah, too crowded and made people flustered, but it's a good keyboard shortcut to remember. It's Option Command and down arrow. Option Command down arrow. So
it automatically split?
Yes, it automatically
the talking head. It will split.
It basically splits it, but it keeps the audio. You notice how the audio is staying the same, which is pretty nice. So
again.
So Option Command and down arrow. And then if you want to bring it up, Option Command and up arrow. But you'll notice that when I did that, then you have the gap clip. So if we press Option Command and up arrow here, right? And we're like, oh, actually, I want to undo this. You can just bring up your trim tool. Remember T for trim?
Yep.
And then you can just move this. And then and there's another thing, you notice these dotted lines? It means this is the cut. So you could just select this and press delete, and now the cut's mended. So, for example, B to bring up the blade tool, cut, 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 cut. If you're like at a later date, I don't know why I made these cuts. It looks bad. I don't need them. Just select the cuts and press delete, and that'll go away. And then music, anything else you want to bring in, right? So let's say we don't make this images and we just made this music. You could press Command I, and then you would import that wherever it is, and then you can drag it to your timeline here.
I would just under the magnetic timeline.
Correct, yeah. So usually video clips and B-roll and stuff typically is above the primary storyline, and sound effects, music goes underneath these clips, goes under the primary storyline. So just as an example, if you go to this one, which we have not gone over yet, this little icon here in your library browser, this is where you can find your photos. So this will attach to your photos library, your music. So if you have any music, but this is a new computer, so there's nothing on there. And Apple TV. This is also a useful place to put overlays and stuff. So if you have overlays, put them in your Apple TV app and it will show up here in Final Cut. And then you have your sound effects. Now, when I set up your Final Cut, I didn't see any sound effects. And that's because if you're just starting your Final Cut and you don't see anything, go to Final Cut Pro, download additional content, and it'll pop up here, and then you'll click download. So basically, if we just randomly choose some sound effects, put them underneath, put these underneath, you can also do those same QWE shortcuts, to bring down into your timeline. So remember, E is bring that sound effect or clip to the end of the timeline, and then you have, let me move the playhead so you could see. So if we have this over here, W is to insert it. Typically, you wouldn't do this for sound effects, only media. And then Q, which is what you would use it for, we'll bring it under. Or you could just drag it. So it's up to you. So once you find your sound effects, say we wanted, I don't know why I chose jump. You do jumping into the pool. We bring that underneath. You have your sound effects, and you can add your music here as well. I'll just delete this. So let's pretend you wanted to change the speed of a B-roll clip like this. So we can close out of this by pressing this button, or we can press Control Command and 1. This little icon here that looks like a speedometer, like in a car or motorcycle or whatever, you click this and you have access to a bunch of different speed retiming stuff. Typically, you'll use this area right here. You can reverse the clip if you'd like, which is also kind of useful for sound effects. You can also make the clip slow by 50%, by 25%, by 10%. Smooth slow-mo is Final Cut's new AI smooth slow-mo feature. And basically it makes it so even if you shoot in a normal frame rate and you slow it down, it like blends the frames together intelligently to make it look like you shot it in slow motion. So it's very cool, very useful. You have fast, obviously normal, hold. So this is gonna just make basically, it'll freeze it for you. Yeah. So this comes in handy quite a lot. And then you have blade speed. So this will blade it. So if you want to create like a speed ramp, then you can then adjust this separately from the beginning part. But there are also these keyboard shortcuts. I wouldn't remember these. The one that I would remember is Shift B. If you are wanting to do that speed up. So say you wanted this to be normal and then you really wanted it to pick up the pace, you press Shift B, and then that makes that speed retiming point here, and then you can adjust this, and this is your easing. This is your smooth ease in and ease out. So the more this extends, the more it feathers per se. Let's do exporting. So you have your video. We added everything that we wanted to add. We added the transitions, the effects. We went ahead and we'll pretend we color graded it, even though we didn't color grade. Let's pretend not pretend, I'll just show you. If you do want to use that enhanced light and color, if you don't want to take the time to color grade, you could use this. Doesn't always work, but all you do, click. Oh, did I click it? Oh, there we go. And it will try and do it for you. And then you have kind of Lightroom type adjustments here. So if you wanted to adjust the contrast more, you can adjust that. But once you have everything set up, so we color graded, we made all the adjustments that we wanted to make, we would then go about exporting. There's 2 ways you can do that. Like most things, keyboard shortcut, which is Command E.
Export.
Yeah, then Command Export. Typically, you can get away with thinking of the first letter and then usually Command, but it depends on what it is. Or File to Share to either Apple devices. Let's say you don't want any of these because Apple devices is .m4v, which for a lot of you, this may be like, whoa, this is nerd talk. You would click Add Destination. So you guys may want to do this with me. If you wanted a standard MP4 file, we could do, Export File. We'll rename this and we'll call it Main Export. And we do the format. We go down to Computer. So this is going to make it very general across all different devices, not just Apple. And typically you're shooting in 4K. So we could select this and we'll leave it H.264. I still am not convinced that we should be using H.265 just yet or that the benefits are there. I'm going to do a video on that, but we'll leave this. H.264 single pass faster is actually nearly the same as clicking this better one, but it's up to you. I've run tests on it. So we can actually make this the default by control right clicking, make default. So now if you press Command E, these settings will automatically be applied. So don't worry about this roles section. You don't need to know that. You would just go to info. If you want to rename it, you can. Don't even worry about the description, the creator, the tags. I never adjust this. You would just change the video name to whatever you want. And then you would press next. You would choose where you want that video to be saved. You click save and it would start exporting out, which I'll just do now just to show you. So in this top left, this is where all the rendering and stuff happens. This is where this circle will become a full donut.
Timeline.
If the timeline's rendering or if you're exporting out, this will then show that. But also, once again, if you're like, oh, Dylan, I can't remember where that is. Where do I find the export? Just remember, use the help button. So we have export captions, export, share, export file, and it brings you right to it. And then you don't even need to go over to press it. You just click this. But that did bring you to the one that's more general, right? This is your master file setting. So yeah. So do you have any questions? Is there anything that you're confused about? Or there's something that I'm noticing now. This is how you can zoom in if you want to if you want to find like a specific, if you want to look at my ugly mug in this weird position, and notice I'm adjusting this thing here. So there's a lot of comments.
That's the key plane.
Yeah, it's like the thing. It's like your cursor moving thing, which is a terrible way to explain it. But there's a lot of people who comment in Final Cut Facebook groups. My screen looks weird. How do I get out of this? I'm seeing this little dot, this red box. It's because you're just zoomed in. So you just do this to fit. Sometimes you may even need to make it small to adjust like one of your on-screen controls that's outside of this. So you can do that. And I didn't even go over view. Let me quickly show you right here. This is your project settings, right? So that's a quick way to see it. You have your video name.
Wait.
Yeah.
Before we go to view, we're in the export genre. So what if I want to export this picture to become my thumbnail? How can I export this?
As a... Okay. Yeah.
JPG.
JPEG. JPG, yeah, JPEG.
Yeah.
So that's gonna be in your share settings. So let's say you wanted this frame to be the thumbnail, right? Or you want to export it to use as the thumbnail, which is what I do. File to share, add destination. It's going to be save current frame. So we'll drag this under your main export and we'll change this. Now, most people who don't have Photoshop would just leave it on here. So anytime that they wanted to export, they go to File to Share, Save Current Frame, and wherever your playhead is, so it's on this frame right here, it will save that as a JPEG, as a picture. But for you, since you use Photoshop, I would recommend changing this to a PSD, to your Photoshop file. So that keeps good quality, makes it Photoshop friendly, and then you could bring it in that way. So the view is basically, it relates to everything on the viewport. This is the viewport. It's where you see what is going on on your timeline. the only things you'll need to know for now, there are specific things that you definitely need to know, like angles and scopes, right? Scopes is color grading. Don't worry about that for now.
Okay.
Is the quality. Better quality, better performance. If you want to see what's going to come out when you export, you click better quality. The reason you wouldn't want to have this is sometimes if you have a bunch of different things that pop up, a lot of different titles and effects on your clips, multiple layers, it's not going to play back smooth sometimes, depending on your computer. This is a pretty fast computer, but if your computer's older and slower, it's going to be choppy. And so in that instance, you would likely want to have it on better performance. And there's even more steps you can do if you have a really old computer and you want to make it work. You can transcode your clips to what's called proxy files, and that's way too advanced. Basically makes it an easy to handle version of your clip. Okay, one more thing. You have your index. This has everything that's on the timeline all in a nice, neat list. So if you ever are like, oh, where's that transition or that title that I had? It was like called M title, whatever. You just type it in, boop, it'll take you right to it. If you have a clip name, if you like named a clip, then you can, or like an effect, it'll take you to it that way. So it makes things easy.
Do you have like filter?
Filters like to make your video look better?
Yeah.
Okay, so I think this is it, and I really hope I'm not pulling up something that's in a plugin, but I think you can find most of them in colorboard presets, color grading presets, and looks. Let's do cool shadows with warm highlights. So right, you select this, looks like trash. It needs to determine how to adjust based on this clip. So you click this little magic wand, and it will then snap. And if you're like, you know what, needs more contrast, hop into this, and then you get those sliders again. So we can then add more contrast if we're like, we need more saturation, pump up the saturation, and stuff like that.
One more question. So I just add something in here, but yeah, I only add in this clip, but
great.
It doesn't apply on every...
Yeah.
How can I do that?
This is why it helps to have you asking questions here. So if you wanted to transfer this, let's say this effect, so let me delete, actually, I'll delete this. So everything else doesn't have that color grade. You could select these and just start copying them if you want.
So I press Shift, choose, or what?
Yes. So yeah, to select both, you have to press Shift, like most computer things, to select both, and then you would just drag, right, to the different ones. Or another way that you could do that is press, this is a lot of keyboard shortcuts to remember, but Command C to copy, and then you would select the clips that you want to transfer stuff to, and then Command Shift V.
Command Shift?
Yeah, or Shift Command V. Yeah, I know. And then that allows you to select different things. So if you have if you zoomed in or added different effects and you don't want them, then you can select that. But typically...
wait, so I press Command Shift V to show up that board.
Correct. That's going to paste different effects, both audio and video. But that's a little advanced, kind of. Maybe that's the next step for you. Maybe an easier way is...
just choose and drag.
That, or we have something called adjustment layers in Final Cut Pro. Think A, adjustment, option A. I need the option of an adjustment layer. This is a layer that you throw over clips. Could be your entire timeline if you want. Yeah. And anything you put on here, any effects, will be applied to everything underneath it.
So instead of I put the effect and color grade on the clip, I put on this.
You could, yes. But remember, this will affect
everything.
Even transitions, or if you have a B-roll under here. It's one of the downsides to adjustment clips that I don't like. But yes, so let's say I press Command Shift V because we still have that saved. Those different adjustments, we press paste, boom. Now across the entire timeline, we have that. But the reason why I don't always like that is if I press V to just disable this, you see how it affects our transition? And this one's not that big of a deal, but sometimes that can be a big deal. Like here, maybe this would completely adjust the color. Yeah, see, it starts to tear apart the image just a little bit. So it's up to you how you want to go about applying those effects.
Wait, say again how to open this.
Option A. Option
adjust.
A. So yes, this thing lets you adjust everything underneath it. Lots to learn about this software, so give this video a watch because I guarantee you'll like it, and have a great rest of your day.